Hello, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day. My name is Jessie Lee, and I'm coming at you with video number 23. And with this video, I get to celebrate 1 year of being on Flosstube. I am so proud to be a part of this community, and I'm also really excited to continue sharing all of my stitching and crafting and life with you all through my videos. Over this past year, I've made so many connections with creative kindred spirits, and I am just so grateful for everyone. So today we are having a big parade of all the stitching I've done over this past year. So if you happen to be new to my channel, this will be a pretty good video for you to start with. And of course, I'm so happy to have you here. So let me quickly reintroduce myself. My name is Justine, and my nickname is Jessie Lee. It was my grandma who always called me Jessie Lee, and she was like a mother to me, and she did all sorts of needlework. So I sometimes bring up memories of her when I'm sharing my own needlework here on my channel. I am a self-taught cross-stitcher. I've dabbled in the craft since I was a kid, but I didn't really get deep into it until I got obsessed with watching Flosstube in 2018, and then eventually picked the needle back up in 2020, and then joined Flosstube in 2021. I live in Minnesota, United States, and I have a husband named Tim, a son named Glenn, a daughter named Sylvia, as well as several pets, including Sabrina, who almost always makes appearance in my videos, either bathing herself or sleeping in the background. If you're one of my longtime subscribers, well, you're just the best. I have gotten to know so many of you, and I really enjoy all of our communication. It's just truly fascinating to learn about your lives and all of your creative endeavors. I don't have any stitchy friends to meet with in person, so you guys are really my tribe, and y'all are so nice to me, and you just inspire me and motivate me in my stitching every day. Before I bring out my stitching, I just have to say a big thank you for some stitchy kindness I received, and also apologize for it taking me a while to acknowledge it. Helen from New Zealand sent me a lovely package, and it included this beautiful card, and in it, she wrote me some really heartfelt words of encouragement because I had a pretty tough time around Christmas. So Helen, this meant so much to me, and I'm sorry it took me so long to say anything, but I only just discovered your package this past week. My kids always bring in the mail. That's one of their jobs around the house, and I usually intercept the mail and sort through it and pick out the junk mail and the things that pertain to me, and then all of the bills and the rest go into Daddy's basket for my husband to deal with later. And I think your Stitchy Kindness package came in, and I just didn't happen to grab it from my kids that way, and it ended up getting buried in my husband's basket, and he finally went through it and passed the package on to me this past week. So even though it's a bit belated to say thanks, I am really grateful for you sending me this. Helen also sent along this adorable cross-stitch kit. Here it is up close. Let me try to get the glare off. There we go. You get the idea. This is Lynn Manning's New Zealand Birds, Tui, the Parsons bird. And it comes with everything needed to stitch it. And I was really tickled to get this kit because I happen to be a bit familiar with Tuis because my daughter Sylvia is a big fan of them. Tui birds have very dark iridescent green feathers with these funny white tufts that stick off their chests, and Sylvia thinks this little white tuft looks just like popcorn. And Tuis are especially famous for their talent for mimicking sounds and voices, so they are excellent talkers. So Sylvia and I were very charmed by this kit, and I'm pretty excited to stitch it one day. So thank you, Helen. Alrighty, let the Stitchy Parade begin! I will be showing you my projects in order of when they showed up finished on my channel this past year. And the first finish, which I showed in my first Flosstube video, was this. This design is called Candy Heart, and it's by Jeff Juleseth. And I stitched this 3/2 on 28 count fabric flare even weave in the colorway Hush Pink, and I used all the called for DMC, Krynic, and Mill Hill beads. This was my new year, new start in 2021, and I busted my butt stitching this in just a month because I really wanted to show it off in my first Flosstube video, which I knew I wanted to post on Valentine's Day because it's really my favorite holiday. I love Valentine's Day just because I can't get enough of the merch. Hearts are so cute to me, and they really fit in all year round. Anyway, this was quite a challenging project. The pattern is very fussy because it is covered in fractionals and metallic floss and beading, and as a noob stitcher, I really learned a lot. And this is also one of the more fancy finishes that I've ever done. I mounted this on sticky board with some batting behind it, and then I attached the entire thing inside this box that has crushed velvet on the back. And this happens to be the lid from a box of Russell Stover chocolates. And then I found this red ruffle trim to put around the edges. I think this is absolutely adorable, and it lives on my wall in this room. I'm really proud of this one. And I was inspired to stitch this by Kim Hollenbeck, the Spartan Stitcher, because she had this as a whip and she was stitching it from the original printing of the pattern in a 1995 cross-stitch magazine. And I am really interested in vintage cross-stitch patterns from the 80s and 90s because the aesthetic reminds me a lot of my childhood and my grandma's projects. My next finish is my Temperature Tree by Sarah Hughes, the Stitchin' Mommy. And I don't know what fabric I stitched this on, but I do believe it's 28 count. And the holes were definitely not square because my tree ended up very tall and stretched out, but I still love it. And I stitched this 1/1 with my own color choices of DMC. And I stitched this in the year 2020, but I only got around to FFOing it after I started my Flosstube channel in 2021. And for my FFO, I put it in a hoop, which I painted a dark brown. And this is what the back looks like. This stitch is special to me because Sarah was the first Flosstuber that I ever watched, and this was the first project that got me back into cross stitch. After that, I spent some time stitching up a thank you gift for one of my most special subscribers. And because it was a gift, I never shared it on my Flosstube, but it turned out super cute, so I had to take a picture of it, and I don't think she'll mind me showing you that picture now. So here it is. This was Hedgehogs by Roshka Valentina over on Etsy. And I stitched this on some leftover fabric flare from my Candy Heart. And I stitched it 2/2 with the called for DMC and then sewed it into a cute little zipper pouch. And I made this for my wonderful, beautiful stitchy friend, Susan. Susan discovered me in my first Flosstube video. And in that video, I talked about how I'm interested in vintage cross stitch patterns. So she got in touch with me and sent me a big collection of cross-stitch magazines, and that meant so much to me, and Susan has continued to spoil me with Stitchy Kindness ever since. So I was so appreciative of those magazines that I just had to stitch up a hedgehog for her right away, and this is it. And people like Susan make me so proud to be a part of the cross-stitch community. I am a multi-crafter, so I have lurked in several different crafting niches, and cross-stitchers really are my tribe. You guys are just the kindest, most thoughtful, and generous, and just the best. And I love Susan, and I love all of you. The next little stitch I did was inspired by another one of my stitchy friends. Sarah from Sarah Stitches started her Flosstube around the same time I started mine. So we discovered each other's channels and followed each other from the beginning. Sarah is from Arkansas and she has a beautiful Southern accent, and most of her whips are seasonal and cute country style. And Sarah hosted a cow themed style over on Instagram with the hashtag stitching till the cows come home. And I joined that style with this little project. Here, let me try to get it up close and focus. You see the little cow right in the middle there. This was so cute and fun to stitch. And this is the back. All of this black stuff is magnetic. So this lives on my refrigerator and makes me smile every day. And I stitched this from one of the vintage magazines that Susan sent to me. This was a 1990 issue of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, and I used this pattern. It was for little canister labels, and I modified it a bit, took out the words, and chose my own colors, but it was a very cute design, fun to stitch, and a very fun style to join with my friend Sarah. Next came a group of smalls that I stitched up and turned into cards for my kids' teachers. Glenn and Sylvia spent much of the 2020-2021 school year in e-learning, and their teachers were absolute heroes and made their kindergarten experience so special in spite of all of the challenges. So for Sylvia's teacher, Mrs. Fox, I stitched up this little design. The pattern was Fall Fox by Eileen Gurak. And then my son Glenn has moderate autism, so he started kindergarten a year late, and he had a special ed teacher, a general ed teacher, and a highly involved TA. So all three of them got a card, and Glenn is obsessed with spinning objects. And fans in particular are really his thing, and his teachers were well aware of that. So two of them got fan-themed cards, and that pattern was called Vintage Electric Fan, and it was from dailycrossstitch.com. And then one of his teachers got the stitch of the cute boy in the little pencil car, and that design was from the Fantasy Car Cell by Doreen Jones. And I stitched all of these on 28 count Lugana that I dyed myself. And it was my very first time dyeing cross stitch fabric. So I got to share that experience and everything I learned on my Flosstube channel. Then I stitched a funny and cute design for my first Sal that I ever started. It is hashtag Sal All the Kitties over on Instagram, and it's a forever Sal that everyone is welcome to join with any whip that features a cat somewhere in the design. And I've had several ladies join my Sal, and it has been so much fun cheering on their stitching and seeing their kitties come to life. And the kitty that I first stitched for the Sal was this guy here. Try to get him with as little glare as possible. This was Life with Cats Royal Audience by the Blue Flower, and I stitched this on 40 count Winter's Brew by R&R Reproductions, 1/2 with my own choices of DMC and some color and cotton. And I love this snooty cat, as I call him, and he hangs in my entryway to glower at any guests that arrive. Then I secretly stitched another project never before shown on my channel, and it was this little pair of witches. This was a motif in the 2019 Spooky Hollow Sal by Tiny Modernist, and I stitched it 1/1 on 36 count linen in the colorway Heather by Fiber on a Whim. And I stitched this as a birthday present for my bestie Jessica. She and I both have October birthdays very close together, and we are kindred spirits, so these two witches were meant to represent the two of us. Jess and I became friends in sewing class in high school, and while I'm really crafty, she is incredibly artistic, and I have always envied her skills and style and beauty as a person. She and I have always clicked, and I had to keep this little project a secret because she is a supportive friend and watches my Flosstube videos. I love you, Jess. By far my most special stitch that I completed in this past year is my Birthstone Girls. I must show them to you, but let me get adjusted so there's the least amount of glare. I think that's as good as it's going to get. I charted these girls myself using pieces of the Birthstones 1 and 2 charts from Soda Stitch. I cherry-picked various parts of those Birthstone Girls and Frankensteined them together to create my own Birthstone Girls to best resemble my grandma, my mom, myself, and my daughter. And I took this whip out during the month of each lady's birth to stitch her. So my mom, Laura, got stitched first in April, then Sylvia got stitched in June, and Grandma Bernice was stitched in August, and then finally I stitched myself in October. And this was stitched on 25 count opalescent Lugana, 2/2 with my own choices of DMC that took me forever to choose. And then underneath each lady, I stitched her name and birthday with some lavender colored metallic DMC light effects, just as a special touch to record each lady's deets. And I framed this myself using the pinning method on a foam core board. And what's special is that I used some of my grandma's vintage straight pins that came out of her sewing pin cushion that I inherited. So that is sort of a special secret inside the workings of this piece. And this stitch just means so very much to me. It is very cute and beautiful and sentimental and really just the perfect way I could represent the generations of women in my family. All 4 of us are creatively gifted, so this one means an awful lot. Then my biggest and most involved cross stitch that I finished was my spring cat sampler. Let me scooch way back so I can get it all the way in the frame. And I will also show it to you up close so you can see the pretty images and colors and details. I had a lot of fun stitching this piece, even though it took me quite a long time. And this is a design by Nancy Rossi, and I stitched it 2/2 on 28 count white Monaco with all the called for DMC. And I have not FFO'd this yet because I want to stitch the other 3 seasonal cat samplers, and then I will get them all framed at the same time. So they will coordinate with each other, and I have the perfect place on my wall to hang them all side by side. I enjoyed this design because this gray kitty reminds me very much of my own kitty cat Casper. He makes appearances sometimes in my videos, snoozing on the bed back there. And this spring design is also special because of this cute little turtle right there. And I love that turtle for spring because I happen to live very near a lake. It is called Keller Lake, but my family calls it Turtle Heaven because it is chock full of turtles. And every May, we are excited to see the lake thawed out and to go searching for the first turtle of spring swimming. So having a little turtle on my spring cat sampler is just kind of special. This sampler also represents to me the changing way in which I stitch since I've started Flosstube. Before Flosstube, I was a monogamous stitcher, and I had a goal to stitch all 4 cat samplers in 2 years, which would have been realistic if I had remained a monogamous stitcher. But since I've gotten on Flosstube, there have just been sales to join and just inspiration everywhere. So I began to accumulate whips, and the spring cat sampler ended up taking me almost a year to complete. So I've accepted that getting the other 3 done is going to take me quite a bit longer, but that's okay because I've expanded my horizons and I am enjoying working on more than one project at once. And of course, having more things to show you than just one boring stitch at a time. The final finish of my first year on Flosstube was my temperature garden, also by Sarah the Stitchin' Mommy. I stitched this on 28 count white Lugana 1/1 with my own choices of DMC. And you can see here at the top is my hometown, Maplewood, Minnesota, 2021. And I made up this little petal color scale down here at the bottom to show my temperatures, and I stitched in the date and temperature of the coldest day of the year and of the hottest day of the year. I did the coldest and hottest days of the year on my 2020 temperature tree as well. And then I fully finished this into this hoop, which I painted a darker brown, and this is what the back looks like. It's just meaningful to me to have completed another one of Sarah's temperature patterns. And I actually have 2 more in the works for this year. 2021 was really challenging, but joining Flosstube was really a light in my life. So I'm very happy to remember that through this temperature garden. Now, I just gotta breeze through all of my current works in progress just to record where I'm starting from on my first Flosstube anniversary. There's only 6 of them, so from oldest to newest, there is Quaker Peace by Remembering Bygone Stitches. This is the design, and this is my progress. Through the Storms by Silver Creek Samplers. Here's what I have. Temperature Butterflies by Sarah Hughes. And this is mine. Temperature Walk With Me by Sarah Hughes. This I am stitching for my in-laws who live in Florida. Then I have Friendship Warms the Heart by Precious Moments. And here is that so far. And finally, I have Autumn Cat Sampler by Nancy Rossi. Here's that. Of course, I've discussed the greater details of all my whips in my previous Flosstube videos and will again in future videos. But if you have any burning questions about them right now, please ask me in the comments. I will be more than happy to answer. My first year on Flosstube has really been about finding my feet and making connections within the community, and also just experimenting with stitching in general and figuring out what I truly like. And I've been thinking about it, and I've decided that my mission for this coming year is to stitch mostly meaningful and sentimental pieces that really connect me with my most important memories. And I really want to share those memories with you. So you're not just getting to see what crafts I complete and my style and aesthetic, but also getting to know my story. And of course, as I keep saying, you all, my stitchy friends, are just my people, and I am so grateful to know you, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about you in the future. And I'd like to start off learning more about you by just asking you to tell me in the comments what your favorite cross stitch you've worked on in the past year has been. I think that would be super cool to read about what everyone's been doing. I would not have made it a full year on Flosstube if you guys didn't make it so fun for me to keep coming back with new videos. So to celebrate this milestone, I just had to do a giveaway. And to say Happy Valentine's Day, I am giving away these heart-shaped ornament kits. These are by Mill Hill, so they have lots of pretty beads and charms. And the first one I have to give away is this music-themed one called Love Notes. So if you'd like a chance to win this kit, leave me a comment with the word notes. The next one is actually Halloween themed, but it's got a kitty on it. And if you've been here a while, you know that kitties are pretty much my very favorite. So if you would like a chance to win this one, leave me a comment with the word Halloween. And then this last one is really perfect because it is love stitching. However, stitching's probably way too general a word to use for the code words, so if you want a chance to win this one, leave me a comment with the word hobby. I'm sure you're probably familiar with the normal giveaway rules. Please be a subscriber of mine. Please be at least 18 so I can ask for your address if you happen to win. And also, please don't use any words like giveaway that would attract any lurkers who'd want to swoop in and ruin the fun. And I will announce the winners in my next Flosstube video, which I will probably upload in about 2 weeks. Well, that is all I have to talk about on my first Flosstube-iversary. Before I go, I just have to share with you the motto of my grandma who inspired me both in stitching and in life. God loves you, and I love you. Happy stitching! Bye-bye! Happy Valentine's Day!